Hi, Glenn Crouter here. Thank you very much for listening to Head for the Hills, all brought to you by our good friends at eWool. They have a product that nobody else, believe me. And we're going to do local stuff and destination this entire season. We are so looking forward to it, and I'm so looking forward to talking to you over the next 5 months. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show.
An original.
From Story Studio Network.
Well, look at that. We're almost through the ski season. I mean, holy crap. Look at this. You know, rear view mirror stuff. Dave Trafford here with Glenn Crowder. It's Head for the Hills, our weekly effort to get you outdoors. We need to have blow the stink off your t-shirts, I think, Glenn. What do you say?
Your famous saying, absolutely. Blow the stink off. Mom sends me out the door to blow the stink off me.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and we've had such a breadth of conversations around, you know, sort of the elite athletes who are out there in the World Cup, in Europe. We've talked about our Canadian Alpine team. That was just insightful. I love when we start talking about the development of the chemistry on a team like that.
Yeah.
You know, we've gotten into the tech questions, certainly with the folks at Oakley. We learned a whole lot about, you know, whether or not you should have polarized lenses. We figured out that that's not the best thing when you're out on the slopes.
Yeah.
And good knowledge there. And then we've just talked about some of the cool destinations, you know, whether it's been resorts like Mount St. Louis Moonstone or heading off to Quebec to enjoy what they had to offer. So we've covered a lot of ground. But we do want to get into this, maybe even a little bit more in terms of some of the safety around outdoor recreation, particularly on the skis. But, you know, this would apply certainly for snowmobiling and all kinds of other things. We're going to invite Kerry Schmidt, OPP Sergeant, here to give us some advice and guidance around that. But before we do, you know, Kerry might really enjoy and need an eWool vest because he's outside all the time in crappy weather on the side of the road, trying to clean up messes, etc., what's going on the highways. So eWool, thanks for their support for the program. And if you want to check them out and find out exactly what kind of product you might want to take advantage of, check them out. It's at ewool.com. Well, more often than not, when I see Kerry Schmidt talking to the media, he's doing so from the side of the road or from his truck. And I gather that's where we find you today. How are you, Kerry?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Are you freezing your rear end off? That's my question.
Well, the snow is coming down. We've got a big winter storm coming our way right now. The roads are going to be a little dicey, and this is going to be a challenging 24 hours. I suspect we'll see if the forecasters got it right, but right now this is looking like a winter wonderland, which is, you know, fantastic for all these outdoor winter sports we love to do in Canada.
How true. Kerry, I wanted to bring you on because I'm on the slopes every weekend. It's something I've noticed, and I'm not going to sit there and say it's because of the influx of new Canadians. It's not. I think the pandemic has kind of created a different psyche for a lot of people on the hills. I know we're all dying to get out there and have fun, but I really see and I really feel there's a lot of people that just don't get it. The safety factor on the hills is really nuts. And I see and smell, by the way, more and more alcohol and smoking the Marihucci on the hills. And I'm wondering what the heck's going on here. And I'm not being a Debbie Downer.
No.
But I want to bring this out because I don't think people realize that when you're skiing and if you're inebriated, there could be consequences.
Huge consequences. If you're going down the hill on two boards or one snowboard and you need your full concentration, your reaction, you know how quickly you've had to cut left or cut right or avoid someone who's coming in front of your path. And if you're having one of those sky high moments because you've had a couple too many puffs or a couple too many drinks, that is going to result you going head over to tea kettle or into a tree, and that never ends well. Impairment, drugs or alcohol, there's no place for that anywhere when you're operating machinery. But if you're going at the speed of gravity down a slippery, icy, snow-covered mountain, you got to have all your faculties on you. And if you're impairing yourself, why is it that people drink and smoke? Because they get the high, they get that feel, they get that rush. Well, I thought that's why you go skiing. You don't need to double down on being impaired and getting a thrill ride, because by the time you get to the bottom, you may be on a stretcher getting hauled off to the hospital.
It's so true. And Kerry, we've got the latest results from, and actually a survey from the Canadian Ski Council, is that people that tried skiing last year, beginners, first-time beginners, 98% of them are coming back this year. So for somebody that as I am on the hills every weekend, I see a lot of people that just don't have an idea what they're doing, the safety factors. So for us people that have been skiing for years, we have to keep our heads up even more. So that's just a cautionary note. But I'm just wondering as well, if I got nailed in Whistler by a guy who was just hammered out of his head, literally. And I'm lucky that I'm fairly big, and he knocked me down, but nevertheless, he got up and he could barely speak. And I'm going, my God, if I had been injured, is there something, is it a criminal offense if he creates an accident, or there's somebody gets injured along the way?
Yeah, there's certainly a criminal a liability aspect, I would think. We're not out there doing ride patrols at the ski lift, but maybe we should be being more present. Sure, they're selling alcohol down at the bottom at the chalet, and if you want to have a drink at the end of an adventure of skiing, well, that's your prerogative. You certainly need to make sure that you're going to be safe and legal and sober going home. But what we need everyone to do is really think about how they're going to be enjoying their adventures and not putting themselves in jeopardy because of a decision to start drinking or start smoking, and then going down the hill, putting themselves and everybody else at risk. You get involved in a wreck and you're on the way to the hospital. If you're the one responsible for it, I certainly wouldn't want to be that person that's now going to be liable for answering to your ability or lack thereof as you're going down the hill. Think about the concentration you need just to get on and off those chairlifts sometimes. And if you're drunk,
very true.
That's not going to be a pleasant sight, and you're going to have a pileup of frustrated skiers that are going to be piling on top of you because you're going sideways with your skis crossed.
I see it all the time, Kerry.
Well, and it's interesting that you sort of bring it up in terms of safety, in terms of the resort and who's liable and who's responsible for it. And I wonder, Kerry, whether or not we have a bit of a block because there isn't machinery involved. It makes sense when I'm operating a car or a snowmobile or my boat. I get that there's a certain amount of power that's involved here. So I get that part of it. It's probably harder to drive that message home if it's somebody on a snowboard.
Yeah, well, we talk about if you're a party host, New Year's Eve, and you're getting everybody liquored up and having a great time, and you send them home on their way, you could be held accountable for serving that alcohol. Just like that's why they have Smart Serve at the restaurants. And if they're serving beyond impairment, just because they're going out on the slopes, if they kill somebody, I don't know what the liability is. I'm not the legal expert in that regard. I just want people to have fun, but get home safe and not put myself or my family or friends in jeopardy because of your actions or your bad decisions.
Considering how much more attention we've paid to outdoor activity, particularly because of the pandemic, and given what you do, have you noticed any kind of uptick in problems in terms of whether it has been ice fishing or skiing or snowmobiling, in terms of some of this dangerous play going on?
Well, do you know what? 80 or almost 90% of all our marine fatalities over the summer, they weren't wearing a life jacket. Alcohol, lack of safety equipment, are huge contributing factors in snowmobile wrecks, in ATV and off-road vehicle wrecks, and impaired driving is still one of the leading causes of death and injury on our highways as well. So, I don't have the stats for every activity that we're out there patrolling, but anytime there's a death, we're certainly going to be investigating it and finding out what the root causes are. And again, if it comes to someone's bad decisions, they're going to be accountability to be paid for that. And we're not trying to be the buzzkill and kill your fun, but we're there to make sure our communities are safe, and making those kinds of decisions to start drinking or smoking and performing whatever activity that you want to participate in amongst other people who are paying for that experience as well but are sober, that's just irresponsible.
Yeah, less buzzkill, more awareness,
Yeah.
I think. I mean, not to be fair, right?
Yeah, how true. Kerry Schmidt, OPP Sergeant. Listen, Kerry, the most visible guy in the OPP. We appreciate you taking your time today and giving us a little insight about people that should be more responsible, not only on the roads, but also on the ski hills as well. I really appreciate your time, and thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon as well.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, and have a great season.
Thanks,
Kerry. All right, Glenn, and you stay safe. We'll talk to you next week.
You bet. Thanks a lot.
Our technical producer and audio editor for Head for the Hills is Mike Trutler. Our production manager is Jamie Nickerson. Our executive producer is Aaron Trafford. And our sonic logo designer is Greg McDonald. I'm Dave Trafford. Thanks for listening.
This
is SSN.